The Jehovah's Witnesses just got new announcements reaffirming the misogynist culture inside this religion, even as they struggle to maintain enough members to keep their congregations running. Don't forget to hit that like button. Let's begin. The leadership of the Jehovah's Witnesses sends congregations monthly letters with announcements, usually to keep members updated on what they need to be doing on minor things, like reminding them about an upcoming campaign or whatever. The July's announcements, however, remind all members that they are still in a misogynist cult. Although officially the cult doesn't admit to losing any members, we've been getting reports all over the world of there being insufficient men to do the menial tasks that a congregation needs to have, like taking care of the sound system, to switch between microphones and video presentations, passing around microphones, and directing people to their seats. If you've never been in a cult, you'd think that nobody would want to do these tasks because they're boring and just extra work, but you'd be wrong for two reasons. First of all, nothing is as boring as the meetings themselves. Any kind of busy work you can do during the meetings will make that meeting far more enjoyable than having to sit down and do nothing but to pretend to listen to what's being said. And second, these tasks are only given to exemplary members of the congregation. You have to be in good standing in this cult to be chosen and allowed to do this free labor for the cult. After all, the cult called these menial tasks privileges, and only the most exemplary Jehovah's Witnesses get those. And obviously, you can't be more exemplary as a Jehovah's Witness than if you are a man. So only men are allowed to do these tasks, with women being allowed to do them only if there were not enough men available. However, since we keep getting reports of congregations shrinking, seeing women doing these tasks have become more and more common than ever, with many wondering if this would lead to a more relaxed stance on their completely anti-biblical rule. Well, this letter came to tell all Jehovah's Witnesses that if there are no men available to take care of these tasks, the governing body would prefer you use little boys to do this before women. 2. Congregation task for exemplary unbaptized male publisher. The governing body is pleased to inform you that exemplary unbaptized male publishers may also be used to care for some congregation tasks that are appropriate for their age and circumstances. For example, an exemplary male publisher in his early teens or younger may be used to handle microphones and operate the sound and video equipment if permission has been granted by his parent or guardian. You don't even have to be baptized. Also, I love how they directly tell us that it's the governing body's will that this happens. Sometimes I get Jehovah's Witnesses in the comments saying we can't attribute everything to the governing body and that some stuff is just from some other prominent members of the cult, but the governing body made sure to remind everyone that this misogynist rule definitely comes from them. And they're also making sure to remember that this isn't because they think boys are more qualified. It's because women should not be allowed to do this. 3. If sisters are currently being used to care for some of these practical tasks, please assign exemplary brothers, baptized or unbaptized, to care for the work. If there are not enough brothers, please contact the circuit overseer for direction before using sisters. Guidelines that comment on the very exceptional use of sisters, such as in video conferencing systems for meetings, will be updated accordingly. They're telling all Jehovah's Witnesses that now they need the personal approval of the circuit overseer to place a woman in charge of those tasks. And that can only be if there are not enough either men or boys available for the job. This is extremely misogynistic. The governing body here is reminding Jehovah's Witnesses that they have to be so misogynistic that they view a 10-year-old boy as a better option to do these tasks than any woman, regardless of who she is, how capable she is, or how spiritual she is. After this, there are going to be women who already know how to handle the sound system who are going to need to teach children to do that so the women can leave the children in charge. That has to be humiliating. Women aren't even allowed to feel like they're qualified enough to do something good for their congregation. But why are they doing this? Well, Jehovah's Witnesses don't allow women to have certain tasks, like being an elder or giving speeches in the congregation, because of that verse that says that women should stay silent in the congregation. However, even if that verse was genuine, and not a later edition like many scholars believe it is. This still only says that a woman can't speak in the congregation. And you can do all those tasks, carrying mics, handling the sound system, and taking people to their seats in silence. What's more, women are allowed to speak in the congregation, giving demonstrations, participating in Q&A sections, and even narrating and appearing on video propaganda.
God cares deeply about you, and He wants you to know that in this hate-filled world, love can be found. It is not lost, and that love will never fail.
So why can't they carry microphones in the congregation? If anything, it seems like having women taking you to your seat would be placing them in a more servile position, which a misogynist culture would do, right? Well, not exactly, because the Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult about appearances and about rank. The more you're allowed to do for the cult, the higher up the rank you are. That's why these tasks are considered privileges, because they place you in a higher rank of spirituality in the congregation. That's the real reason why men are allowed to do these menial tasks inside the congregation and women aren't. Because to Jehovah's Witnesses, women cannot achieve higher ranking even in the congregation. What's more, inside the Jehovah's Witness culture, doing these tasks is what you do before you qualify as a ministerial servant. And being a ministerial servant is a requirement if you want to be an elder, the highest rank you can achieve inside the congregation. And clearly, the governing body doesn't want women feeling like they are qualified enough to do even the bare minimum they need to do to go up in the hierarchy. Instead, they want women to know that it doesn't matter how much of their lives they've spent on this cult. An unbaptized 10-year-old is superior to them as long as they were born with a pee-pee. This, if anything, shows how this religion is slowly collapsing under its own weight, unable to adapt to survive, and instead clinging on to their old and most damaging doctrines that are the reason they're struggling to survive in the first place. If the leadership had any brains at all, they would have started relying more and more on women to work in the congregation. There's absolutely no reason to be happy about being a Jehovah's Witnesses nowadays. Did you not see the festive environment when men were finally allowed to grow beards and women were finally allowed to wear pants? Witnesses are desperate for something, anything to cling on to so they can suck any joy out of this cult. If the governing body had gotten new light on allowing women to do these tasks, maybe even allowing them to access some minor privileges in the congregation, it could be the push that many need to remain in the cult and even to convert others. Nah, actually, they can't fix their conversion issue with just that, but they could make more than half of their cult extremely happy and excited. This cult is built by the unrecognized labor of women, and for some reason, this cult has more women than it has men. They could have adapted to survive. But instead, the governing body chose to remind everyone that this is a misogynist cult.